Saturday marked Buddha's birthday, a national holiday here in Korea, and today is the alternative holiday as the date fell on a weekend this year. While the celebration comes from a religious background, it is not limited to being enjoyed only by Buddhists in Korea and is also considered a cultural festival. So today we have prepared a special interview to learn more about Buddha's birthday and what role Buddhism plays in Korean society today. And for that, I'm honoured to welcome two guests to the studio today. First, we have the Venerable Sun Up Sunim, who is a Buddhist monk and the Deputy Director of the propagation of the Jogye order of Korean Buddhism, the largest order in Korea. Hello, and thank you for being on the show today.
Hello.
And we also have with us Manhwa Sunim, who is a Zen monk born in Mexico and currently practicing Buddhism in several meditation halls in Korea. Hello, and thank you for your time as well.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, it's great to have you both here on this occasion. So first, can you introduce yourselves to our listeners in your own words and tell us a little bit about yourself? Starting with you, Sun Up Sunim, can you tell us more about yourself?
My Dharma name is, Sun Up, not sundown. People usually remember my Dharma name. So and also I'm the one of the famous, meditation teachers in Korea. So nowadays, what I'm doing is to manage the propagation part in Jogye order and Korean Buddhism.
And can you tell us a bit more? I think maybe our listeners might be curious. How did you become a monk? How did you find yourself on this path?
I met my master. He gave me the Dharma name. Like Sun Up. Sun means in meditation. Up means, kind of karma. So he wanted to me, to study meditation, only meditation. So I met him in 1987 and I became a monk in 1989. For 2 years, he always said like this, please do only one thing, Hwadu. So Hwadu means it's a great question. So only you keep going this one. This is the great question. And then if you find yourself, if you want to find yourself, please keep going this one. So that time he gave me only one word, nothing. In Korean, mu. So I just kept going that one for around 5 years. That's what I did, for 5 years, And then finally, I gave up that one. And then, I studied the different things.
Right.
But 10 years later, suddenly I got, some special hwadu. So that time, naturally, I kept going that one. And then finally, I started to talk about, Buddhism to people after, kind of enlightenment, Like
right,
that.
so you found your path towards informing others, just spreading the message about Buddhism as well. But it started with meeting this master then, and that's how you were inspired to go on this path. Manhwa Sunim, what about yourself? I think our listeners would be very curious, especially because you're not from Korea, you're from Mexico. When did you come to Korea and how did you discover Buddhism?
I came to Korea around 10, 11 years ago, and I started to practice in Mexico City right after elementary school, around mid school.
Okay, so you were even in Mexico already, you were practicing Buddhism.
Yeah. I started to practice, and it just happened, it was kind of a Korean meditation center. So at the time I didn't know anything about Korea or like Korean Buddhism. It just happened, it was kind of Korean. And later, when I started to study university, I started to think, what's the most important I can do with my life? And, I was very much into meditation. So I decided to come to Korea to kind of ordain as a monk and dedicate my life to this path.
Okay, wow. So even before you had come to Korea, you already knew that you wanted to become a... Wow. Okay, so what was it like when you came to Korea then? Was it
I didn't know anything about Korea. I learned to read Hangul on the plane coming to Korea. So I had no clue, any idea or anything. They just told me, you're gonna become Hengja, which is kind of a aspirant for becoming a monastic. And they told me, your only job is to say what is told to you and just do it. And I said, okay, I can do that.
Was it a difficult path to become a monk? Was it what you expected?
I didn't have any thought of that. I just said, okay, I need to do it, and I did it. I just didn't have this mind of like, I can do it, I cannot do it. I just said, okay, just try. And I think in Korean Buddhism particularly is very important when you are, more than if you can or you cannot do it, is to show that you are sincere,
okay,
and that you try.
Well, let me ask then, what is it about Korean Buddhism do you think is different from other types of Buddhism? Can you explain it maybe for our listeners?
I think, first of all, I think in Korea, temples are alive, meaning that, like, there is places of like 1,000 years, 1,200 years, 1,500 years, and still kind of like living temples, like people go there and they practice there. In comparison with, for example, Japan, where they have like beautiful temples, but like they're more like museums.
Right.
There is
cool.
not like,
okay, I understand. Yeah.
nobody living there. Also, like in Korean Buddhism, there is like all kind of teachings in one place. So, for example, if you want to go and do like a chanting practice, you can go to the temple. If you want to read some Buddhist sutras, you can go to the temple. If you want to practice meditation, you just go to one temple. But in other countries, in other traditions, for each different activity, you need to go to different places. So that's one thing that I like more about like Korean Buddhism.
Sun Up Sunim, can you also explain for our listeners what's different about Korean Buddhism? What makes Korean Buddhism unique?
I think he said already, so all traditions are in one teaching in Korean Buddhism, so that's kind of unique Korean style Buddhism. And next one is we are based on the unique meditation style. We got traditional meditation style and unique meditation style. We call this one Hwadu meditation. So people are really interested in this one. And also they really wanted to get enlightenment using this kind of traditional meditation style. So that is kind of unique Korean style, maybe Buddhism. So, and also many foreigners are really interested in this kind of Korean style meditation,
What makes it different? What is a Hwadu meditation?
So Hwadu means the great, we are using the great question, kind of what this is. So what is it? So what's your name? This is really simple question, but it contains many things, the basic things, and also if you find this one, what is your original name? Do you know your name, original name?
My original
Yeah.
name? I'm not sure what you mean.
Yeah, that means, what's your name?
My name is Changho. My name is
before
Kwon
that.
Changho. Before that?
Like this. So that's why, so that's why, there are many people, they don't know their real name, so we call this one, Buddha nature like that. But this is, we got many precious things already, but we don't know that one. So that's why, we try to ask people, please look at yourself, inside yourself, and then you can find your original, yourself like this. So that is Hwadu. And also we are using, many, great over 1,700 questions. So there's a big questionnaire. So maybe all are, focus on only one thing. So one of them is nothing or mu like that. So that is Hwadu, the great question or the great doubt.
Manhwa Sunim, have you been asking these questions yourself as well? Have you been on this path about asking these questions?
Sure. I think, I think what he's trying to say is that the most important question that everybody has is like, what am I? What is this? You have a name, but who gave you that name? Your parents gave you that name. What's your original name before that? This before mind is the same mind. When you think, your mind and my mind different. If we cut all thinking, my mind, your mind, same. And through this kind of practice, this is not something abstract, like it sounds kind of like fancy, but actually when you practice this, you can much more easily connect to this moment and then connect to your correct situation, your correct relationship, and your correct function. So that's the practice of this Hwadu thing. Like not just something theoretical, but something that you really like something very personal in a way. Alive.
So that's, I guess, what makes Korean Buddhism special. This is something unique to Korean Buddhism. Well, also, we're here to talk about Buddha's birthday as well, which just passed, Buddha's birthday in Korea. I understand it is different, perhaps in different Buddhist sects, how it's celebrated. In Korea, it's national holiday, but can you tell us, Sun Up Sunim, more about Korea's celebration of Buddha's birthday?
I think you can join lantern parade in everywhere in Korea. The lantern got many meanings. So one meaning is the lighten yourself like that. That means also the symbol of enlightenment. So if you light the lantern, that means I'd like to find myself right now in this place. So that is kind of unique, Korean style, Korean traditional Buddha's birthday. I think so. I think, and also this day is kind of the symbol of enlightenment, and also a symbol of making peace in this world like that.
Yes, the Lotus Lantern Festival is a big event that happens every year to coincide with Buddha's birthday. Manhwa Sunim, I'm sure you've seen how Korea celebrates Buddha's birthday. What was your impression of it when you saw it?
I has been going to this like a Buddha's parade, this festival they do in Dongguk, here in Seoul for like 10 years. Just during the pandemic is when it stops, and I didn't go there. But I really enjoy it, and I think it's very beautiful as a Korean holiday. Even non-Buddhist people, they go to the festival because it's something very unique from Korea. So a lot of it's just very nice to go, and I encourage everybody to kind of like try it, even if they are not Buddhist or anything. Like they will appreciate it.
Definitely. It's great to have the festivities back after the COVID-19 pandemic as well. Obviously, that must have been difficult for you to see, Sun Up Sunim, when these festivities, they had to be cancelled because of COVID-19 pandemic. What was that like for you?
But what I have been doing was meditation. So that was really good period, concentration on my mind.
I see.
So and also, I met many people who visited, they wanted to, solve their problems. So especially they are facing many difficulties. So that's why, my job is kind of counselor, and also based on the meditation. So that's why I was counseling like this, please do meditation, and then you can get over all problems like that, for 3 years.
So like all things, there are good sides and bad sides, positive and negatives, even in the pandemic. I also understand that Buddha's birthday in Korea, it comes at a different date. It's marked at a different date in Korea than other Buddhist sects, right?
It usually comes from the lunar calendar.
Right.
So because it's lunar calendar every year different, but originally it was like that. Nowadays in different countries they just follow like the solar calendar, like in Japan, for example.
Right, okay.
But originally it's the same date, like fourth month of... fourth month, 8th day.
Okay, I understand.
Because, maybe in Southeastern Asian countries, they said traditionally, full moon day.
Yeah.
Full moon day is the Buddha's day.
Yeah.
But our country is a little bit different. The 8th day of April and lunar calendar is the Buddha's birthday is a little bit different.
So that's why if listeners from other countries, they might have a different date for Buddha's
even
birthday.
the 8th, I think.
Yes, of course. Okay, so that's something to note about Korean Buddhism. So yes, as we said, Buddha's birthday is celebrated by Buddhists and also non-Buddhists here in Korea. It is almost a sort of cultural festival. But I also wanted to talk about, ask you both today, what role do you think Buddhism continues to play in Korean society? Of course, it is an important part of Korean culture and history. We have this holiday celebrating Buddha's birthday, but how do you think it remains relevant today in this fast-paced world with technology and all the distractions that we have, especially for young people, Sun Up Sunim, do you think it still speaks to people, Korean people?
Do I have to speak to people? So nowadays you are facing, society problem. So especially the 20s or 30s, young people, they want to kill themselves because of money. And also they are in, social greed situation. Some people express it like this. Social greed situation. That means they want more things. So that's why I think I speak to people. Please look at yourself, and then your original shape and your original, mind and your original face is a little bit different. You couldn't do anything if you, look at yourself, continuously. So I think that's what I wanted to speak to people, especially youth people. If they find themselves, correctly, and then they'll do anything, and they get over all problems, and they'll succeed. That's what I wanted to say.
I mean, Sunim, obviously, you've spent a lot of time in Korea, as you said, 10 plus years now, but you're not from Korea as such. But still, when you see Buddhism and its place in Korea at the moment, today, do you still see a relevance that Buddhism has for Korean society?
I think more than Korea, it's kind of a war tendency. Nowadays, many countries are very rich, especially Korea now. It went kind of very high economically, but at the same time, everybody is kind of very unhappy. So, Buddhism only talks about like two main things: how to understand suffering and how to go out from it. So, it's kind of that's the path of Buddhism.
Right, so you feel that those teachings, they're still relevant, I guess, not just to Korea, but everywhere around the world, I guess. Still, as a Buddhist monk here in Korea, when you see Korean society, is there anything that particularly concerns you when you see Korean society and what people are struggling with today? There's so much, for example, division, whether it be political division or gender conflict or generational conflict. There's so many things that Korean people are suffering from, such as the high suicide rate, there's a low birth rate, and all these sorts of social issues. When you see that as a Buddhist monk, what concerns you? What do you feel?
I think the modern world kind of sicknesses are like depression and anxiety. That's kind of what most people experience nowadays. And, precisely practicing meditation may help you to kind of address these problems. Because many people, especially in Korea, they go through ways like alcohol or, like any other kind of activities. But, this is somehow just like numb the problem. They just don't want to see it. But, when you sit in meditation, you're just alone with your own thoughts and your own feelings. Then you can start to explore this kind of like, where does it come from, like as a society, I think, this can be a tool more than a solution.
Sun Up Sunim, when someone comes to you with these sorts of issues about depression and anxiety, what do you say to them? What kind of advice do you give?
I think usually I use this kind of, not word, kind of. Anyway, if there is a problem in life, it's not a problem, but a problem that I think is a problem. That means, I think we have to change our way of thinking. So if you, hold some, information or idea, and then please recheck that one. And then maybe you can find, the cause of problem. That's why I say, a problem that I think is a problem. So the way of thinking, you have to check and change your way of thinking. And then you can choose correct way like that.
Right, okay. So a problem is only a problem if you think it's a problem, or if you consider it a problem, something like that. Manhwa Sunim, have you had people come to you for advice as well?
Yeah, that happens kind of often.
Okay. Okay. What advice do you give them?
You know, like I tell the same to people. You know, like I'm nobody to tell you what to do with your life. So you need to find what it works for you, and you know, if meditation works for you, or like some Buddhist teachings work for you, you know, like that's wonderful. But you know, like every person has different situation and different conditions, so you know, you cannot just put like the answers in like one thing. Also, you know, like the final goal of meditation is not just to sit like and you know, just do nothing. You know, you want to become clear in order to kind of function correctly in this world. And that means, you know, like helping everybody. You know, like you understand your suffering, therefore, you know, that's the only thing that connects you to everybody, to everything, not even only humans, you know, like, so that's the only thing I think I can say, you know, like for me, meditation works. So, you know, if somebody want to try it, you know, go for it. But
sure. Is it Korean people who come to you for advice, or is it more foreigners, or is it just a mix?
I think it's a mix. I am not close to to any type of.
I think it might be interesting for Korean people to come to you, especially as someone who's a foreigner. I think they might be looking for maybe even a different sort of perspective. Do you think?
Yeah, maybe.
I think his Korean is perfect. So there's many Korean people rely on him.
Sure. I mean, we were hearing a little bit of his Korean before we started this interview, and yes, your Korean is fantastic. Obviously, on this show we speak English, so
sure.
Our listeners may not be able to appreciate it as much, but yes.
And also, he got more information about Korean situation.
Okay, then finally, just to wrap up, what message would you like to give to our listeners who may be listening today? Let me start with you, Manhwa Sunim.
Message about, like, you know, like I think Buddhism is only about two things: understanding suffering and the way out of suffering. You know, everything else are just like forms of the styles of teaching. So, you know, if you want to get something from, you know, these talks, you know, like look deep into yourself and, you know, like address these questions, you know, like what are you and what's the most important in your life?
Yes, if something doesn't go well, pray, meditate, and share what you have. So that is a little bit difficult, and also devote yourself, and then you can get many things. You can get over any difficulties. That's what I wanted to say to the youth people especially.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you both in the studio here with us today. It's been enlightening, as they say, in the Buddhist tradition. We'll leave it there. We've been speaking to the Venerable Sun Up Sunim and Manhwa Sunim. Thank you both for your time today.
Yeah. Thank you. Nice to meet you.